everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara, or Lara Likes Mascara. Today we're doing a different video than I've ever done before. I've touched around this topic before, but I don't think I've specifically addressed numbers, because I always want my makeup collection to be functional, to be useful, to be very curated. I don't know if I would use the word minimal, but sort of in the realm of minimal/minimalism for me. I'm not using that as a blanket term. I'm acknowledging that everyone's idea of what minimalism is different. I'm trying to make my makeup collection my perfect version of minimalist, or my ideal version of itself. Everyone has a vision of what their perfect something would be, whether like their perfect life, okay? And within that, they have an idea of what their perfect wardrobe would look like and their perfect makeup collection, or at least for me. I think a lot about my ideal makeup collection, and so I thought I would do a video addressing just that for you, but also for me, because I have not looked at the numbers in this way before. Sure, I've tracked how many products I have in my collection. I know the total number of products, and I even know, I don't remember the exact number of each category of products in my collection, but I have it written down. Like I know the numbers, I have cataloged them, but I haven't thought about what the number of products that I have currently is compared to the number that I want to have. And that's what I'm talking about in this video. That's what I'm taking a look at to determine how close I am from my ideal makeup collection, how much more curated my collection needs to get, how much more panning and decluttering I need to do, how much work there is, how far away I am from attaining the collection of my dreams. So let me break down what I did exactly. I took the numbers of each category. So for example, how many foundations I have, how many mascaras I have, I wrote them all down. I took these numbers from my most recent makeup inventory, which was from February 2023. And then I tried to mentally calculate the changes in my collection. So this may not be 100% accurate, but it is probably about 95% accurate, because there really have not been that many changes in my makeup collection since February. I haven't brought that many new things in. I have panned a number of things, but just wanted to do a disclaimer. I definitely could have waited to do this video until I did an updated inventory, because at the end of every year I do go through my whole makeup collection and do an entire collection inventory. So I could have done it right after that in order for this to be as accurate as possible, but I thought it would be more interesting to do before I know those updated numbers, because who knows, maybe by the end of the year I will have decluttered some things. I will hopefully have panned a lot more. So I'm hoping that there will be some difference between my collection now and my collection at the end of December. And hopefully by 2024, my collection will be that much closer to what I want it to look like. And so next year, when I do this same video, if I do, I will be closer to those goal numbers. So as I said, I have the numbers of how many products I have in each category, and then I also thought about the number of products that I would ideally have in each category. And sometimes it's not a simple like 2, I just want 2. It's a little bit more of a range, but I tried to keep it a very precise range, like 2 to 3 or 1 to 2, just so that we don't have these massive ranges in all of these categories, and it's just easier to see if I am sticking to these or not. There are a couple of categories, I think, where I have fewer products in those categories than would be my ideal makeup collection, which is interesting that I have reached that point where I actually would prefer to have more than I have, but it's only in a couple of specific categories, and I don't want to buy those products to get to 2 or 3 products in that category at this moment, because I feel like I still have such a large makeup collection, and as long as I have one, I'm good for now. I want to curate my collection further, and then I can build it up if I really feel the need to at that point. So with all that said and done, let's talk about it. Let's see how close I am to my ideal makeup collection. I do actually wish that I had the numbers of the size of my collection from when I started this conscious consumerism journey back in 2019, because I had way more makeup at this point. And it would just be interesting to see a comparison and how much I've curated down my collection. But whatever, from now on, I can do it. So let's hop into it, and let's start with the face products, and then we'll move on to the eye products. So the first category, primer. I have one primer in my collection right now. This is the Becca Shine Eraser Pore Matte, whatever it is. This will be leaving my collection by the end of the year. I have decided to declutter it, though I have been panning it for a long time. It feels like it is overdue. You don't need to hear this. I've said this a million times before. But yeah, my goal in this category is to have 0 or 1 primers. I'm not the biggest primer fan, but who knows, maybe one day I will find one that I love, so that's why I'm keeping it in the 0 to 1 range. But I'm just going to say that in this category, I am happy with the size, although I would prefer to not have the current primer I have. So first category, thumbs up. The second category, we have foundation. Now, my ideal collection would have some choice, but not too much choice. So I would ideally have 2 or maybe 3 foundations. I would want a skin tint or something with very, very minimal coverage. Then I would want something that has light coverage or light to medium. And then I would want something that has heavy coverage. Now, this is a little bit intertwined with my concealer category. So if I have 3 foundations, then I probably only need 1 concealer. If I have 2 foundations, then I could have 2 concealers. I think you can sort of change the coverage of your face if you have different coverage levels of foundation and concealer. So that can sort of fluctuate. But yes, I would ideally have a little bit of choice in this category, and I currently have 1 foundation. So that is not ideal. This is one of the categories where I have fewer products than I would like to have. I did just recently finish one of my foundations, so that is part of the reason for it. I'm fine with having 1 for now, but in the future, I would like to have at least 1 more. And then in my concealer category, as I mentioned, I'm happy to have 1 or 2 concealers depending on how many foundations I have. But at the moment, I only have 1 concealer. So that is not ideal. I would like to have a little bit of variety and choice in my concealers. So yeah, neither of these categories am I really happy about. However, I would prefer to have fewer products than to have more. So I would rather have not enough in some categories than to have way too many in other categories. So not that upset, but I would be happy to bring in a couple more in these categories. So far, 1 category we're happy, the other 2 not so happy. Cream bronzer. I discovered recently that I really, really enjoy cream bronzers, and I would ideally like to have 1 or 2 in my collection. So maybe 1 in a potted form, 1 in a stick form that I can draw directly onto my face, or just maybe different shades. However, I have none in my collection at the moment. I did have 1 that I finished about a month and a bit ago at this point, and I loved it. But I'm on a no-buy right now, so I'm not buying any new products. But this is a category, again, that I have fewer products than I would like. Ironically enough, you can see that it's in the face categories that I don't have as many products as I would like, whereas the eye categories I have more than I would like. So yeah, not happy with this category, but could be worse. I could have 10, and that would definitely be worse. Okay, powder bronzer. I do like powder bronzer. I have come around a couple years ago. I was like, once I finish these bronzers, I am never purchasing any and I'm never wearing bronzer again. I've come around a little bit, okay? A little bit. I think I would ideally have 1 or maybe 2 bronzers. Again, this is sort of contingent on how many cream bronzers I have, but I think 1 would probably be sufficient for me. And I currently have 2 bronzers, so I am actually happy with this part of my collection. Let's move on to blush. Firstly, cream blush. I have really come around to cream blush in this past year. So I think this category is going to fluctuate. Less than a year ago, I would have said I want no cream blushes or maybe 1 as a just in case. Now I would say I want closer to 3 or 4. And I've honestly barely worn powder blush in the past 3 months. So maybe even more than that, but for now I'm going to say 3 to 4. And I currently have 4 cream blushes in my collection. Well, one is liquid, but we're just going to count that in the same category. And so you would think that I'm happy with this category. However, 2 of the cream blushes that I own, I don't really like very much. Maybe those will be decluttered or panned soon. We'll see. So I'm happy with the number of products in this category, but I'm not happy with the specific products. But we're going to give this one a thumbs up. Now, powder blush. I used to only like powder blush, only wear powder blush. But things have changed. And now my ideal, I think, is somewhere between 7 and 10. That sounds like a lot, but I think I'm just thinking too much about my current collection because I currently have 9, and that seems like a reasonable number. Like if you have close to 10, then like that's reasonable. But if I use cream blush so much more than powder blush, then why is that reasonable? The numbers should be switched, no? So anyways, I am happy with this category and the number in it, but I don't know if I'm just thinking of the number 7 to 10 as reasonable because of the current collection that I have. We'll give it a thumbs up anyways. Now, talking about highlight. So cream/liquid highlight, I would ideally have 1, maybe 2. Again, I've really come around to cream products, and so now I'm thinking 2 would be a good idea, but we'll just say 1 to 2. And I currently have 1 cream highlight, and that is the Merit one. I love it. I am obsessed with it, and now I basically do not wear powder highlight anymore. Ugh, wow, how the turntables. I should have done this video a year ago because my numbers would have been completely opposite. But in terms of powder highlight, my ideal is 3, and I currently have 3 powder highlights as well. Kind of 3.5 because my MAC highlight, this shattered everywhere, and so I have the shattered parts in a different container, and I really just want to finish that off so that I can move on to this. Like I don't want to have one product in 2 containers, but I've been working on that for actual years. I think it shattered like 2 or 2.5 years ago. This highlight takes freaking forever. It has 10 grams in it, and that's a lot of highlight. I got this back when highlight was a huge thing. Everyone wore a ton of highlight, and that's just not a thing anymore. It's not so socially acceptable. So yeah, I have not gotten as much use out of that as I would like. So technically the number is within my limits, but I really just want to finish off that like half container I have of highlight. I don't know. We'll say a thumbs up for this one. Okay, the last couple face products, I actually forgot about these. Face powder. So I am a person who appreciates face powder because I am an oily individual. I do want a bit of variety too, like a loose powder and a pressed powder. Some difference in shade is fine. So as long as I have 2, maybe 3, you know, a little bit of variety, that sounds good to me. I currently have 3 face powders, so this is in the good zone. One of them I don't like very much, and another one of them I've had for a very, very long time. So, you know, like with many other categories, I'm not sure if like the exact products in this category are exactly what I would want in my ideal collection, but the number itself of products is in the good zone. And then the final category in the face products is face palette / duos. So anything that has like multiple shades of blushes, bronzers, highlight, that kind of thing. I have my Tarte one, which I never reach for. I really need to figure out what to do about that, if it needs to declutter or to be brought into my project pan or something. And then I have my collection one, which I did hit pan on last year. As you can tell, I'm really not super familiar with this category. And then I have one that is a bronzer highlight duo, which I've probably reached for twice or 3 times, if that. This category, I would probably be fine if I had none. However, for the sake of this, I said that my ideal number was 2. It could be 0, but I'm just gonna say that it is 2. I currently have 3, as I mentioned, so I'm not in the good zone, and I need to give all 3 of these a little bit more love. Yeah, this category I'm not happy about, even though it's not a ridiculous number. I only have 3 products in this category, but because each of them have a couple, it just seems a lot more daunting. And I just feel like I don't have as much choice if I'm reaching for one product and I have to use my highlight, bronzer, and blush all from one thing. So anyways, yeah, not great in this category. Okay, those were the face products. Now we are going on to move on to the eye products, and this is where it may get a little bit dicey because we are starting with mascara, and this is probably the category that is most out of hand. With my lipstick category, at least there's a lot of different products within that. You have lip liners, you have lipsticks, lip glosses, lip oils, liquid lipsticks, right? Like you can subcategorize them so it doesn't feel like as daunting a number. But with mascaras, it's just one number. Maybe two numbers if you say waterproof mascaras and non-waterproof mascaras, but that doesn't really make sense. So, how many mascaras are in my dream collection? I don't even know because I just can't fathom not having a ton of mascaras. So I said 10 to sort of strike a balance between reasonable and the number that I have right now. 10 is still a ton of mascaras, so probably that doesn't even sound like goals to anyone. But to me, that sounds like an almost unachievable number. It's so low. And how many do I have right now? I think it's 27. It could be 26, it could be 28. I'm not exactly sure, but it's almost 3 times my goal number. It is outlandish, I know. I used to have a lot more, if you can believe it, so I really got it down, but this is that category that is going to be the hardest to get down to my ideal number. So I'm just keeping that in mind and knowing that that will continue to be the case over the years. Thumbs down on that one. Okay, brow gel. In my ideal collection, I would have 1 or maybe 2 brow gels. So I'm just gonna say 2, maybe one with some color and then one that's a little bit more clear. I currently have 2 brow gels in my collection and they do both have color, but one of them has a bit more color, one of them is a bit lighter. So that's fine as long as there's some differentiation between them. So I have a little bit of variety. I'm happy with that. This one gets the thumbs up. In terms of brow pencils, I would ideally have 1 at the minimum. It's just easier to use a brow pencil than my other brow products, so I would always like to have 1, but 2 would be optimal. And I currently have 2, however, I cannot find one of them. I think I might have given it to my sister because she was really struggling with her brows. I have 1 from Merit, that's probably gonna be finished soon, and then I have another one that's Maybelline that I may or may not still have, but we're just gonna say that I'm happy with this category. Eyebrow duos. So these are like the little double products where there's 2 different shades or maybe a powder and a cream product in one thing. And honestly, these take so long to go through that I should probably not want to have more than 1. But just so that I have a backup, I'm gonna say 2 because these are powder. They do not go bad. So it's better to have a backup in this category than it is to have a backup of, you know, a concealer or a foundation, even though those you can get through them a lot faster. But hopefully you can see my logic here. And I currently have 3 eyebrow duos in my collection, so I have a backup and another backup, which is too much. In this category, I was just going off my numbers because I can only think of 2 duo eyebrow kits that I have. I have the current Sonia Kashuk one I'm working on. And then I have a NYX backup, and then I also have an e.l.f. backup. So yeah, I have too many in this category, but I am almost done the Sonia Kashuk one that I'm working on. So soon I will be down to my ideal number, but not currently. Next time we do this update, thumbs down on that count. And the final eyebrow product is cream gel. And I put a question mark beside this because I don't even know if this is a product that I would want in my ideal collection. I haven't shown any of the products, but I feel like I should show this one because this is not really a thing anymore. Oh no, I think it's probably in my daily makeup bag, which is even worse because that means that it's been in there and every day I've been seeing it and neglecting it and not even consciously realized. But basically it is a like gel product that you use on your eyebrows, and it's a lot more work than I find powder to be. So it's been really difficult reaching for that. And because of that, I would just rather not have it in my collection at all. This is a category that I do not feel that I need. Similar to like fake eyelashes. I think I have some at my parents' place, but I'm not even counting them because I don't wear them. I don't even have like eyelash glue that works. I think I tried to bring some to the Taylor concert in the summer, but I got out my eyebrow glue that I'd had, for years from whenever I bought those eyelashes, and it was clearly expired. And I didn't want to go and buy new eyelash glue because I never wear fake eyelashes. Maybe if I had glue then I would, but anyways, you see what I'm saying? I'm just not counting fake eyelashes as a category in this. Yeah. I'm not sure how I got on that tangent, but that's everything eyebrow. Let's move on to eyeliners. Ideally, I think I would have close to 10 eyeliners, maybe 8 to 10 in that zone, and this is accounting for browns, fun colors like green and red, cream, sometimes I put a cream color in the inner corner, black pencil liner, black liquid liner. Like this accounts for everything. So I think that close to 10 is a reasonable number. However, if I counted correctly, I have 18, and that is simply too many, especially because I did a massive eyeliner declutter earlier in the year. I will link it here, where I got rid of something like 25% of my eyeliner collection. I decluttered so many. So why do I still have so many in my collection? I don't know. It's too much. It's too many. I think I just harbor this hope that I'm gonna pan all of my eyeliners, which is really not possible. Like, it takes so long to pan eyeliner. So I don't know what I'm thinking here, but yeah, I think this category is one of the ones that will be really difficult to curate down. And then a lid primer. So ideally I would have 3. I would have one that's more of like a clear lid primer, one that has a bit of a shade that's close to my eyelid color, and then one that is a glitter primer. I currently have 4. One of them is not really an eyelid primer, but I use it as such. The NYX Milk Chubby Stick, Jumbo Stick. I have not reached for that in ages because I really don't like it. So I got to figure out what to do about that. But yeah, technically I categorize it in my collection as a lid primer. So I have 4 where I would prefer 3. So we're close, but we're not quite there. Okay, let's talk eyeshadows. Eyeshadow palettes, I think a good sweet spot for me is around 10. I'm seeing this number for a lot of categories, but having about 10 of a product truly provides a lot of variety in terms of different colors and types of products. So for eyeshadows, I think this would allow me to have a good range of colors, shimmers, glitters, mattes, different brands, high-end, low-end, small palettes, large palettes. And I didn't do a recount, but I think the number of palettes that I have right now is 11. I have a little question mark because I just decluttered one. I did bring one into my collection earlier this year. I think that's the only change there's been. So I am actually in a good spot with the number of palettes I have. And I don't know why that surprised me. For some reason in my head, I'm like, I don't know, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, or I have too many, or I don't use them, but this is actually a good number, I think, for me at the moment. So maybe that'll change in the future, but somehow eyeshadow palettes, I'm actually in the good zone with this. I think most people have like way too many eyeshadow palettes than they need, but that has not been one of my weaknesses in the way that mascaras have. So yeah, thumbs up in this category. And then eyeshadow singles, my ideal, I believe, is 10. I'm not a big eyeshadow singles person. I can understand the appeal, but it's weird to me to think about like single eyeshadows, like purchasing just a single eyeshadow. Like, it's so much packaging. It's so much just for one product. So in that way, eyeshadow palettes make more sense to me, but I get that you can curate exactly what you want much easier if it's singles instead of palettes. So I'm just gonna say 10, but I currently have 12 eyeshadow singles. That is more than I would like to have. There are a couple that I have not used all year. I know that for sure, about 2 of them. So maybe there's a declutter in my future, but yeah, for the moment, this category is not in my good books. Oh, and before we talk about lip products, setting sprays. I honestly am not a big setting spray person, but I still feel like they're useful. So having 1, maybe 2, just in case, I think is a good idea. I currently have one. I have the Urban Decay All-Nighter, which I honestly don't even feel like it does anything, and I forget to use it half the time because it's just not, I haven't found it makes a difference, but I still am happy to have that one. So this category is in my good books for now. Finally, let's move on to lip products. So lip balm, then we're going to do lip liner, lipsticks, lip glosses, and liquid lipsticks. So lip balm, this includes stick lip balms, potted lip balms, etc. And my ideal is 3. I would like to have, honestly, 3 stick lip balms. I just find those so much easier to navigate than the potted ones. I don't want to be sticking my fingers in my products. No, thank you. Please just let me apply things. However, I currently have 2 potted lip balms and no stick lip balm. So my partner has 3 for whatever reason, so I just use his when I need. I don't like the potted ones, so I just don't use them. I should probably declutter them so someone else can enjoy them, but for now I just haven't bothered to. So overall, not happy about this category, even though it's not like I exceed the number that I want to have, but I'm just not happy about what I do have, and I'm not happy about what is missing from my collection. Lip liners. I have really fallen in love with lip liners this year. For one, because I've realized you can use them as eyeliners. If they're good lip liners, then they're good eyeliners. That's pretty much assured. And I love burgundy colors on my eyes, so I've loved doing that. I have a couple of darker lip liners, and I love using those as eyeliners more than as lip liners. And then I have a couple more nude shades, and then I have a red. So 5 to 10 is sort of the sweet spot for me with lip liners. I currently have 12. That is more than I would like to have. However, there's none that I'm planning to pan or declutter anytime soon. No, there's one that I'm trying to pan, but that's going to take a while. So yeah, I don't think that this category is going to look much better anytime soon. So it gets a thumbs down, but we're not too far off, at least. One category that we are very far off with is lipsticks. I had to think for a while about how many lipsticks I would like in my ideal collection, because I really don't know, because I've just had so many for so long. It's like mascaras. I'm like, well, I just have a massive collection, so I can't picture what a realistic or normal number of products is, you know? But I settled on 15 because that sounds like a lot. That sounds like you have space to have more matte formulas, more juicy formulas, or glossy, a range of colors. So we're just gonna say 15 for now, but that's not really an educated guess. And then the number that I have is 28. So almost double. This category, I'm not positive that I am exactly right with it because I took the number that was from the February inventory and then I subtracted how many lipsticks I thought I had finished this year. I could be a little bit off, but hey, at least I was double the number that I wanted at the beginning of the year, and now I'm less than double, you know, but I would really like to get this down to the low 20s as soon as possible. That's what I've been trying to do with my lipstick project pan, linked here if you are curious. Not happy with this category. And then lip glosses. So I don't like lip glosses, but I feel like I should still have 1 or 2 in my collection. So we'll say 1 clear one and then 1 colored one. I currently have 2 lip glosses. I actually have 3, but one was decluttered to me from a friend, and because it came in during my no-buy, I put it aside until after the no-buy is over in January. So it's technically in my collection, but I haven't used it. So I have 3, but I basically have 2. So I'm just gonna say that I'm happy with this number, even though I'm still kind of like, why do I even have lip glosses? I don't like them. Whatever, I'm fine with this number because it is so low. And then the final product is liquid lipsticks. Okay, I'm gonna say 3 is reasonable here because I know people don't wear liquid lipsticks anymore. That was so 2016. But, you know, they're still handy to have every once in a while. They are just so thick, you know? When they're on, they're on. They do start to fade, but there's just something about a liquid lipstick, you know? I want at least a couple. And I do not have 3. 3 is the goal number. I currently have 9. That's too many because I really never reach for my liquid lipsticks. So this category, I have 3 times the number that I would like to have. So that is not good. That one is a thumbs down. And with that, that is my entire makeup collection. Hope I didn't forget anything. Those are my numbers. Now let's just do a little recap of how many categories I'm happy with, how many I'm unhappy with, and what my ideal numbers look like compared to my actual numbers. So I counted up all of the products in my ideal makeup collection, and I erred on the side of generosity. So if I said I want 2 or 3 foundations, then I would count 3 as the number, and adding all of those up, powder, bronzers, mascaras, all of my eyeliners, like everything in my ideal collection, how many would I want? That is 120. So in my ideal collection, I would have 120 makeup products. How many did I actually have? The number from the beginning of 2023 was 174.5. So we are way off of that number. We've got more than 50 products over what is ideal. So that's a lot. We definitely want to get those numbers down. Now keep in mind the 174.5 doesn't factor in the products that I finished this year, because I want to keep that final number a surprise for the end of December. I think I'm probably somewhere closer to like 165-ish for the year. So I have 45 more products than I would like. Every year, I'm hoping that we can get this down by about 15 to 20, maybe 25, if we can pan/declutter enough products. And then hopefully, maybe 2 years from now, so in like 2025, 2026, this sounds ridiculous as I'm saying it, but let's say by the end of 2025, I'm hoping that I will have my ideal makeup collection. So this is what I've been working towards the whole time, from the beginning of 2019 to the end of 25. I'm just working towards achieving my ideal collection. It's a long haul, but it's totally been worth it. Yeah, so in terms of the categories that I'm happy with, I am happy with 11 out of the 26 categories in terms of like the numbers. So that's not even a third. That is not ideal. I want to be, happier with my collection. So hopefully by the end of next year, when I do this video again, the numbers will be a lot better and I will be happier with my collection overall. So let's talk about a book that I have been reading lately. I listened to this on audio. It is a memoir. It is called Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. And I had heard so much about this book that I was like, okay, I need to read it. And it is basically about a young woman who, her mother is Korean and her father is white American, like she's Korean American. And it is about her and her mother's relationship. And then when her mother gets diagnosed with cancer, it is about her mother's illness and how she grapples with that and grapples with, mortality, her family, and with ultimately her mother's death. I thought the writing about grief was really powerful and could be quite cathartic to anyone who's looking for something like that, but it is also very sad. She's, obviously grieving. I thought this was good, but this was just so hyped to me, like so overhyped that I didn't think that I would like it as much as everyone had raved about it, and that's pretty much how it went. But I am really glad that I read it, and her writing about Korean food throughout is just amazing. Like, I love the food writing so much. But that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week.